It is 10:43 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. It's the 12th day of this new year in January 2026. This is episode 1236 of Bitcoin, and we're going to get right on into all the news you can use with me, your host, David Bennett, here on the Bitcoin and podcast. Strategy. Yeah, they bought more Bitcoin. They just spent $1.25 billion on 13,627 Bitcoin. That has pushed their overall Bitcoin holdings to 687,410. Sailor is just relentless. And what did it do to the price? Nothing. It did nothing to the price. But, hey, we are in a time of buy the rumor, sell the news, and it doesn't matter if news is good or bad. You just, sell the news. But honestly, that's all we got to say about Sailor. That's sort of like the big thing that happened this morning, because clearly they, now that's when they announce if they bought Bitcoin the previous week is always on that Monday morning in their filings. But here's some other news. The Fed chair apparently has re-entered the crosshairs of Orange Man because, Orange Man seems to be fascinated with Jerome Powell. I don't know, but Akash Giramath has this one for Decrypt entitled "Bitcoin Shrugs Off Powell Probe as the Department of Justice Targets the Fed Chair." As if shit couldn't get any more sillier, here we go. Clown show in full gear. The Department of Justice has opened a criminal investigation into the sitting U.S. Federal Reserve Chairman, our friend and yours, Jerome Powell, an unprecedented legal move igniting concerns over the central bank's independence. Quote, "The legal proceedings have added a new layer of uncertainty to the macro front," Jimmy Zhu, co-founder and COO of quantitative yield protocol Axis, told Decrypt. Quote, "The challenge to the central bank autonomy reinforces Bitcoin's narrative as a neutral asset that operates independently of legal or political disputes," end quote. Zhu noted that this perceived neutrality is attracting institutional capital that views Bitcoin as a hedge against the risks that monetary policy could be influenced by executive level litigation. Well, early market reactions. Haven assets such as gold and silver jumped 2% and 5% respectively. Bitcoin noted a, of course, relatively muted response, rising a mere 1.7% to 92K according to CoinGecko. Then Powell confirmed the investigation. So before, it was kind of just rumor. People were like going, no, this couldn't possibly happen. It happened because Powell confirmed the investigation in a Sunday statement, noting that it centers on allegations that he misled Congress about a headquarters renovation project. Powell dismissed those allegations as a pretext. Interesting choice of words from our friend Jerome Powell. Instead, he framed the inquiry as a direct attack on the Fed's autonomy. Quote, "This is about whether the Fed will be able to continue to set interest rates based on evidence and economic conditions, or whether instead monetary policy will be directed by political pressure or intimidation," Powell stated. The probe is being overseen by a U.S. attorney for the District of Columbia, Jeannie Pirro, a Trump appointee, a detail that quickly drew political backlash from within the president's very own party. Senator Thom Tillis from North Carolina, a member of the Senate Banking Committee, condemned the action as a clear attempt to undermine Fed independence and vowed to block all Fed nominations, including the upcoming chair vacancy, until this matter is resolved. Quote, "It is now the independence and credibility of the Department of Justice that are in question," Tillis said in a statement. Further, quote, "This escalation in Trump's war against the Fed smells like Powell not stepping down from the board after his role as chair ends. They want to make his life hell to try to force it. A court said, well, that was according to a tweet from Quinn Thompson, CIO of Lecker Capital, suggesting the fight could create a leadership vacuum at the central bank. After 12 months of silence, the Fed chair, Powell, is fighting back against President Trump. According to a Sunday tweet from the Kobisi letter, the legal development comes as the Fed is expected to pause rate cuts again on January the 28th. If the Justice Department's case succeeds, it would set an extremely dangerous precedent, Tim Sun, senior researcher at Hashkey Group, told Decrypt. Quote, the president could use executive authority and the judicial system to punish a central bank chair for failing to comply with his preferred monetary stance. A scenario that directly challenges the foundation of the dollar system by questioning the Fed's independence would destabilize and erode confidence in the entire dollar and U.S. Treasury system, Sun explained, and as such, it would embed political intervention into pricing models permanently, benefiting decentralized, non-sovereign assets that cannot be manipulated. In the short term, Sun expects heightened volatility rather than a direct rally. Quote, it would unanchor rate expectations, distort the yield curve, and initially drive higher volatility across all of the risk assets, clearly including Bitcoin. The pivotal shift would come later. Quote, after the market completes this round of repricing, Bitcoin could gradually evolve at the narrative level into an institutional hedge, Sun said, as investors price in a permanent risk premium for political interference. Quote, if the Federal Reserve becomes a subordinate to the President of the United States, leading to sharp depreciation of the dollar or a loss of control over rate expectations, then Bitcoin may indeed be approaching its historic moment, he concluded. Sun tempered immediate expectations, however, noting that Bitcoin remains tethered to the dollar for now. So, yeah, Trump's going out after Powell again, and it's back centered on this issue of the Fed building renovation project, which at the very outset of Trump's presidency, we saw him and Jerome Powell at the construction site in hard hats, and Trump was getting all over Jerome Powell about, over expenditures and blah, 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 blah. So he's now using that again against Jerome Powell. Is he going to get what he wants? Who knows? Hell, the clown show is in full freaking gear. Nobody knows what the hell is going to happen. So let's just move on, shall we? To yet more politicians. Specifically, should politicians be able to use prediction markets? A House bill proposes a ban. Stacey Jones, also from Decrypt, has this one. Representative Richie Torres from New York and 30 of his House of Representative colleagues, including former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, are making a push to ban government officials from accessing prediction markets. The lawmaker introduced new legislation, the Public Integrity and Financial Prediction Markets Act of 2026, on Friday. The bill would stop lawmakers and their staff from participating in prediction markets. In the context of the bill, that would include all federal elected officials, political appointees, and employees of the House of Representatives, Senate, and other executive agencies. The bill argues that DC insiders should be blocked from participating in markets when they possess, quote, material, non-public information about a market or the ability to influence its outcome, pausing to say, and that's not already going on. That really? That's not already going on in the largest markets on the planet. You want me to believe that Nancy Pelosi actually got $160 million of wealth stacked up because her pay over 50 years or however the hell long she's been in Congress? Bullshit. And she ain't the only one. Elizabeth Warren And if you think I'm just picking on the Democrats, hell no, man. They're like freaking Newt Gingrich. Come on. All of these guys are doing this. And we need a bill to keep them from prediction markets. This isn't about them. This is about us. God, these freaking people. Anyway, the term is borrowed from securities law and is used to stop people with insider information about a company from trading securities, which they already do, by the way. Prediction markets and the companies that offer them, like Kalshi and Polymarket, have so far been exclusively regulated by the Commodities and Futures Trading Commission. Earlier this week, Polymarket faced scrutiny after a trader won more than $400,000 on a bet that Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro would be removed from office before the end of the month. Criticism focused on the timing of the bet, which appeared just hours before U.S. Special Forces apprehended Maduro. The most corrupt corner of Washington, D.C., and this is a quote, may well be the intersection of prediction markets and the federal government. Oh, bullshit. Where insider trading and self-dealing are no longer imagined risks, but demonstrated dangers, said Representative Torres in a statement. We ignore this plain sight corruption at our own peril. You've been ignoring it for years, Torres. For decades, and all of a sudden now you want to step in to save the little people? Yeah, right, whatever, dude. Torres, Pelosi, and their House colleagues aren't the only ones crying foul over what appears to be unfair predictions placed by people with insider knowledge in D.C. Senator Chris Murphy included a clip of recent White House press conference in his own criticism of allowing elected officials access to bet on markets that they can directly influence. The clip shows the last 30 seconds of a White House presser and a timer showing that the event concluded right before it had lasted 1 hour and 5 minutes, which created a huge windfall for predictors who bet against the press conference lasting 65 minutes. We're going to be betting on the color of people's ties next. I promise you. Quote, who cares about the length of a press conference? What idiot is betting on that, he wrote on X. Quote, but we should definitely care that there are markets that give incentives to people with power to change outcomes so they or people they know can get rich on a big bet. It's insane that we allow this. End quote. You already do allow this. Now, I understand the difference between, buying Intel stock right before Intel makes a deal known to the public, but somehow or another, I understand that that's actually different than making a bet. But come on. Either shut it all down or keep it all open. Loxley Fernandez, the CEO and co-founder of Daston, which owns prediction market protocol Myriad, and also an editorially independent Decrypt, argued that participation from insiders is more of a feature than a bug. Quote, academically speaking, prediction markets are one of the most effective tools for rooting out inside information and maximizing the efficiency and speed of information transmission, end quote, he said earlier this week. While he does consider insider trading to be a problem, oh my God, he does take issue with the comparison between prediction markets and traditional gambling. Quote, to date, we have looked at modern prediction markets as alternative casinos, and I believe this framing is incorrect. Yeah, I could say a lot about that, but you know what? I ain't going to. I got the hankering for chocolate. Specifically, I got to get my chocolate from Bitcoin beans. It's proof of cacao. Invest in your health like you invest in Bitcoin. Cacao is a nutrient-dense superfood. It's rich in magnesium, antioxidants, and theobromine for natural energy and mood support. We craft 1 pound blocks of 100% pure cacao grown regeneratively in Colombia and paid for in Bitcoin. No chemicals, no fiat, no middlemen, just real food sourced with integrity and exchanged through proof of work. Bitcoin beans, get your 1 pound bricks of chocolate or blocks of chocolate from bitcoinbeans.co. That's bitcoinbeans.co, not com, like company, bitcoinbeans.co. Use the coupon code BitcoinAnd for 5% off of your purchase. And that also lets the guys over at Bitcoin Beans know that, hey, you heard about him here on the Circle P. It's where I bring plebs with goods and services that are just like you to plebs just like you who want to buy those goods and services. You will be paying in Bitcoin, because if you're not selling it in Bitcoin, you're not in the Circle P. Go to bitcoinbeans.co, bitcoinbeans.co. Get yourself a 1 pound block of regeneratively grown pure chocolate. Digital rubles? Maybe. Because Russia is accelerating a large-scale rollout. This is from Atlas 21. What's Putin up to? Oh, that nasty, filthy Ruski. The Russian Federation has begun extensive integration of the digital ruble within its public budget system and its national banking sector, paving the way for a large-scale rollout planned for next September. And according to reports, the Central Bank of Russia's digital currency has already been operational since the beginning of this year for government transactions. The CBDC is now available for transfers to government budgets and payments to federal institutions. Russian authorities established a phased implementation schedule in 2023 with specific deadlines for banks and businesses. According to this roadmap, by September the 1st, 2026, the country's main financial institutions and their institutional and retail clients must enable users to transact using the national digital currency. Under regulations issued by the Central Bank of Russia, when the digital currency was approved 2 years ago, universal licensed banks and commercial companies with annual revenues above 30 million rubles will be required to process digital ruble transactions starting September the 1st, 2027. So they're going to be forced to use the ruble CBDC. Yay. Smaller banks and retailers with annual revenues below 30 million rubles will follow 1 year later, September the 1st, 2028. Small businesses with annual revenues under 5 million rubles are exempt from the obligation to accept payments in the new currency. Well, at least there's that. Legislation also sets a timeline for the introduction of a universal QR code based on a solution developed by the National Payment Card System. Now, this unified QR code is designed to simplify non-card payments at points of sale and reduce confusion from competing QR systems. All banks must adapt their systems to support the universal QR code by September 1, 2026, although they may choose to implement it earlier if they'd like. The Bank of Russia has also decided to eliminate fees on digital ruble account transactions for citizens and businesses when payments are made for taxes and duties and other payments to public administrations. Oh, that's just so nice of you. So, Russia, actually at this point, they seem to be actually ahead of the European Union in their bullshit rollout. So, kudos. Yay, shout out Russia. Let's run the numbers. CNBC Futures and Commodities. Hey, look at that. All energy is in the green today. Woo! Brent North Sea up 1/4 point to 63 and 5 dimes a barrel. West Texas Intermediate essentially in the green but moving sideways. 59.13. Natural gas. Check this shit out. 7.5 points to the upside. Chilling out at $3.40 per 1,000 cubic feet right now, and gasoline is up 1/4 to $1.78 a gallon, while Merbon crude is up 0.03% to 63.52. The real story, of course, is always metals, because whatever. Palladium, because I keep bricks of palladium around my house. 2.6 percentage points to the upside. And then I got gold, which is up 2.5 to hit another all-time high of 46.16 and 1 dime. Platinum is up 2.6%. Silver is up 7.2%. 0.23%. Dude, that is $85 a troy ounce. Copper is up 1.8% at the current time. Ag looking pretty much sickly today, mostly in the red, and the biggest loser is corn, 5.55% to the downside. Lumber is the winner today, 2.06 to the upside. Live cattle is up a half, lean hogs down 1, and feeder cattle up a third. Meanwhile, S&P is up 0.17%, NASDAQ up 0.16%. The Dow is up 0.05%, while the S&P Mini is actually the big winner today, 0.18% to the upside. So yeah, I guess they're all waiting for Wednesday. Wednesday. What's up on Wednesday? Well, the Supreme Court pushed back their decision that they were going to make, on Trump's tariffs. They've pushed that back. Instead of like last Thursday or Friday or whatever it was supposed to be, they said, nah, let's wait till Wednesday. Because that's how Clown Show rolls. $91,370. That is a $1.83 trillion market cap for Bitcoin, but we can only purchase 19.8 ounces of shiny metal rocks with our one Bitcoin, of which there are 19,974,823.03 of, and average fees per block are the same, 0.02 BTC taken in fees on a per block basis. There's like 45 blocks, but they're only carrying 36,000 unconfirmed transactions. All those transactions waiting to clear at 2 Satoshis per VByte. Low priority is going to get you in at 0.4. Hash rate's falling a little bit, still in zettahash. 1.02 zettahashes per second is the hash rate of the Bitcoin network at the present time, and you can do with that what you will. From Double Edge Bitcoin, Jason High, 250 sats, says, people can't imagine a world without government and taxes because of normalcy bias and a lack of creative thinking. I do not disagree with that. Pies with 121 says, last boost for a while, taking a much needed break from things. Thank you, sir. Pies, I can't wait to see you back in the chat logs here. Jay with 2100 says, Leaden used to offer Ethereum loans, at least for a while. Glad to hear they're back to Bitcoin only. Thank you, sir. No, thank you. Jay with another 2100 sats just simply says, thank you, but that was from the Tariff Sheriff. Nick Dose, 1026 sats says, cheers. By the way, Fountain isn't updating with your last few podcasts unless you search the episode title specifically, so I have to monitor another podcast app for your new releases and then come over to Fountain to search the title. Hopefully I'm just being a dummy, but I think it's an issue. Nick, you may be more right than you know, because I have been getting notifications from YouTube that they are not able, or there's an error when they try to fetch my new shows. So my RSS feed is provided to me, and my hosting guy is over there at podhome.fm. Thank you, Barry, for the very nice service. And every once in a while, things happen, right? So I contacted Barry over at Podhome, and I let him, I gave him a screenshot of the actual error that I was getting from YouTube. And he said, hey, these things happen. YouTube will probably clear it up on their side, because he goes, I hear this all the time. There's really not anything going on differently over here. So who knows? Hell, I'm surprised all of this stuff works in the first damn place. So I don't get very miffed when it doesn't. You see what I'm saying? I'm just, it's like, if there's something that I can control and I can fix, Nick, I'll try to go do that. But as far as I can tell right now, there's nothing I can actually put my hands on that will fix it. So, but thank you for bringing that to my attention. That's the weather report. Welcome to part 2 of the news that you can use. UK. Members of Parliament call for a ban on cryptocurrency donations to politics. So you want me, I can donate your own fiat cash to you, but I can't. Okay, what the hell? this sounds bad. This is out of atlas21.com. According to The Guardian, count them, 7 Labor Party MPs have formally appealed to Prime Minister Keir Starmer to introduce a ban on the use of digital assets for political donations. The request, outlined in an official letter sent on January the 11th, highlights the alleged risks associated with the opacity of such digital financial instrumentation and the potential for foreign actors to interfere in the UK democratic system. Okay, I kind of get it. That actually makes sense, but God, I hate to say it, but yeah, that actually makes sense. Except that, you know what? This is going to be such a hot button topic. I'm not even going to touch it right now. I'm just going to continue. The 7 chairpersons of various government parliamentary committees have called for the ban to be included in an electoral bill expected to be presented in the coming weeks. Liam Byrne, chair of the Parliamentary Committee on Commerce and Business, is among the signatories of that letter. According to Byrne, political funding, quote, must be transparent, traceable, and verifiable. Cryptocurrencies can obscure the true source of funds, enable thousands of micro donations below mandatory disclosure thresholds, and expose British politics to foreign interference, Burns stated. The issue of digital asset donations to UK politics became tangible last May when Reform UK announced it would be the first political party in the country to accept contributions of digital assets. The initiative was launched by leader Nigel Farage as part of a broader pro-crypto strategy, which includes a proposal to create a national Bitcoin reserve. The party's website specifies that anonymous cryptocurrency donations are not allowed in an effort to maintain a minimum level of transparency. The proposal to ban digital asset donations to politics is not new in the UK parliamentary debate. Last July, Labour MP Pat McFadden raised the issue, emphasizing the importance of knowing just who is providing donations, whether donors are properly registered, and what guarantees exist regarding the legitimacy of such contributions. Quote, democracy funding. Democracy funding. Oh my God. Democracy funding is often a controversial area, but I believe it is essential to know the identity of anyone making a donation, McFadden said. Okay, right there, I'm going to pause. Let's say somehow or another you were able to completely get rid of all potential foreign donations, and now you really are just looking at the people of your own citizenry who are making donations. Are all of those people safe? No. Hell no, they're not safe. They're not safe. It's like if somehow or another the other party's got all the power, and that power includes a whole shit ton of, a whole suite of surveillance capacity, then if I make $100 donation to the opposition, I could be receiving a knock on my door. Nobody should know who the hell donates to who. I'm sorry, but that's the way it is, which in this day and age also means what? You can't stop foreign donations. This is a much larger problem than I think we're giving it credit for, and it's going to be interesting to see how it rolls out in the future. But to end this story, civil society organizations have also expressed support for the proposal. Last month, the UK Anti-Corruption Coalition stated that it backs the ban, noting that allowing cryptocurrency donations contradicts the government's own warnings regarding foreign interference, illicit finance, and, of course, hostile actors seeking to exploit democratic systems. It's a brave new world out there, ladies and gentlemen, and you're right in the middle of it. Now, this is going to definitely be a shorter show today. I'm not giving that much commentary. Let's start the Monday off with, hey, here's the news. And here's another one. Crypto firm BitGo eyes a near $2 billion valuation from its United States initial public offering. Micah Zimmerman, Bitcoin Magazine. Crypto custody firm BitGo has launched its initial public offering, seeking to raise up to $201 million, according to a filing with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission. The Palo Alto, California-based company is offering roughly 11.8 million shares of Class A common stock at an expected price range of $15 to $17 per share. The offering includes 11 million shares sold by BitGo and about 821,000 offered by existing stockholders, with the company not receiving proceeds from those secondary sales. Underwriters will also have a 30-day option to purchase up to an additional 1.77 million shares. BitGo is one of the largest crypto custody providers in the U.S. It was founded in 2013. It offers secure storage and infrastructure services for digital assets as institutional participation in crypto continues to expand. The company plans to list on the New York Stock Exchange under the ticker symbol BTGO. Goldman Sachs, or Goldman Sachs, is serving as lead book-running manager, with Citigroup and several other banks participating in the offering. In December, BitGo was one of 5 digital asset firms to receive conditional approval from the United States Office of the Comptroller of the Currency to become a federally chartered national bank trust alongside Ripple, Circle, Fidelity Digital Assets, and Paxos. The decision marked a significant step in bringing major crypto companies further into the U.S. federal banking system. The conditional approvals allow the firms to convert from state-level trust charters to a full-blown national trust bank status pending the fulfillment of OCC requirements. Once finalized, the companies will join roughly 60 existing national trust banks overseen by the OCC, enabling them to offer fiduciary and custody services worldwide. Unlike full-service national banks, trust banks cannot take deposits, nor are they allowed to issue loans. They can safeguard and manage customer assets, including digital assets. So that looks like where BitGo's going to go. Where they're not going to go is whale hunting. But the whales are out in full force, according to Micah Zimmerman, again from Bitcoin Magazine. Bitcoin whales keep buying as 100 plus Bitcoin addresses set a new record. And yet the price basically does nothing but go sideways. The number of Bitcoin addresses holding at least 100 BTC has climbed to a new all-time high, according to on-chain data from Bitcoin Magazine Pro, pointing to continued accumulation amongst large holders despite some recent Bitcoin price dips and broader crypto market volatility. The metric tracks the total number of unique Bitcoin addresses with balances of 100 Bitcoin or more, a cohort commonly associated with, quote, Bitcoin whales, including high net worth individuals, funds, corporations, and long-term strategic holders. The latest data shows the count has surpassed all previous peaks, extending a multi-year uptrend that has persisted across several market cycles, according to Bitcoin Magazine Pro. Unlike price charts, Bitcoin whale and address balance data show how Bitcoin is actually being held across the network. When the number of wallets with large BTC balances grows, it suggests capital is concentrating in bigger holders, often read by analysts as a sign of long-term confidence rather than short-term speculation. The milestone comes as Bitcoin continues to trade down 30% from historic highs following a year marked by increased institutional participation, growing acceptance of Bitcoin as a treasury asset, and expanding access through regulated investment products. Analysts note that accumulation by large holders has remained resilient, even during periods of consolidation and pullbacks, indicating limited distribution from this cohort. While a single entity can control multiple addresses, meaning address counts do not directly equate to individual holders, changes in the metric are still widely used to assess structural trends in the market. Historically, sustained increases in Bitcoin whale addresses have coincided with periods of long-term accumulation and reduced sell-side pressure. Bitcoin hovered near the $90,000 level on Friday as markets steadied following a delay in a closely watched U.S. Supreme Court ruling related to Trump's tariff policy. The postponement eased near-term macroeconomic uncertainty, helping limit volatility risks across assets. At the time of writing, Bitcoin was roughly trading at, they give a whole bunch of numbers, blah, 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 blah. And that's basically it. The next three paragraphs is nothing but spitting out numbers and where things might go. And it's really just not worth our time. So let's move on, shall we, to another Trump-based story. Instead of the Trump tariffs, however, this is World Liberty Financial, and it's rolling out lending platform for its USD1 stablecoin. Oh, joy. Oliver Knight, CoinDesk. Oh, tell me more, man. World Liberty Financial, the crypto venture backed by U.S. President Donald Trump's family, not Trump himself. They always have to say that. Trump's family launched its very first decentralized finance web app, World Liberty Markets, offering lending and borrowing services for its dollar-pegged stablecoin USD1, according to a press release on Monday. Dude, I do not want a loan from Donald Trump. This has nothing to do with Trump derangement syndrome. I just don't want to make a loan from the President of the United States. You dig? Anyway, the new platform built on infrastructure from DeFi protocol Dolomite gives users the ability to supply and borrow digital assets on chain, starting with USD1 as the primary asset. Dolomite's native DOLO token, the Dolo, rose by 57% following the announcement. Other supported collateral on the platform includes the WLFI governance token, a shitcoin, a couple of wrapped shitcoins, and USDC as well as USDT. World Liberty Financial raised $590 million in a token sale for WLF1 last year, placing it in the top 10 largest crypto token sales of all time. Read that again. World Liberty Financial's token sale of its WLF1 placed it in the top 10 largest crypto token sales of all time. I've seen a lot of them. I've seen a whole lot of them. Top 10? Clown show races to the cliff. The lending markets are relatively thin so soon after going live, but initial indications are that users can borrow USD1 by paying around 0.83% and lend it out to earn 0.08%, although these figures will likely change once more volume occurs. World Liberty Financial said the rollout marks a major expansion in USD1's real-world utility, positioning it within active DeFi markets. The stablecoin recently surpassed $3.4 billion in circulating supply, according to CoinDesk. Quote, USD1 has exceeded every expectation, said World Liberty co-founder and COO Zach Folkman in a statement framing the new lending markets as the first of several products planned over the next 18 months. Oh, gee, I can't wait for what comes next. The platform incorporates a USD1 points program. Flying miles there, pal. It rewards users who supply a stable coin, though detailed terms and eligibility criteria were not disclosed in the release. Of course not. Okay, so 2026, year of the clown. It's happening. We got President Trump making loans. Okay, it's his family. I know, I get it, I understand that. It's just it just seems funny. I'm gonna get a loan from Don. Gonna go to the Don to get a loan. That just sounds like Godfather 4. Okay, I don't want to have any part of that. If you want to, though, you go right ahead. You have fun with all that. Meanwhile, I will see you on the other side. This has been Bitcoin and I'm your host, David Bennett. I hope you enjoyed today's episode and hope to see you again real soon. Have a great day.